The snowstorm had arrived earlier than expected, coating the pine forest in a heavy white silence that felt almost otherworldly. Emily Rhodes, a 32-year-old CEO known for her relentless drive and perfectly controlled world, wasn't supposed to be on that lonely forest road that evening. She had taken a wrong turn after leaving an emergency board meeting, the kind that reminded her she was respected but never truly understood. Her life was numbers, deadlines, and the constant pressure of maintaining the empire she had built. She never imagined her night would shatter open with something far more human, far more urgent. As she slowed her car to adjust her GPS, a tiny figure stumbled into the road, bare hands trembling, tear-streaked cheeks flushed from the cold, and wide blue eyes full of fear. Emily's breath caught as she stepped out into the icy air, her headlights illuminating the child's trembling silhouette. The girl looked no older than 4, her little red dress dusted with snow. She lifted her shaking arms toward Emily as if reaching for the only hope she could see. That was the moment everything changed. If you believe the world needs more kindness, more compassion, and more second chances, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Thread. Your support truly helps spread these stories to more hearts. Emily knelt instinctively, her expensive coat brushing against the snow as she leaned closer. The girl's voice trembled as she explained that she couldn't find her daddy, that he had gone into the woods to gather firewood and never came back. At first, Emily's mind raced with frantic thoughts. This couldn't be real. Why was a child alone in a forest? Where was her mother? Was this some kind of tragic accident waiting to unfold? She looked around, but the forest seemed endless, its tall trees swallowing everything in darkness. The child tugged softly on her coat sleeve, urging her to follow, and even though Emily knew she had no training, no plan, and no certainty, something in the little girl's desperate eyes pulled her forward. For once in her life, she wasn't thinking like a CEO. She was thinking like someone who could help. The girl led her down a narrow path where the snow clung to branches like heavy cotton. Emily's expensive boots sank deeply with each step, slowing her down, but she pressed forward. The cold whipped against her face, and the air stung her lungs, yet she stayed close behind the child who moved with urgent familiarity. Emily kept imagining the father lying somewhere injured, freezing, running out of time. The further they went, the quieter the world became. It was a haunting stillness, broken only by the child's soft sniffles and the crunch of snow under their feet. Emily felt her heartbeat echo in her ears as fear crept into her thoughts. What if they were too late? What if the father was beyond help? What if the girl wasn't leading her to safety but deeper into danger? Yet she pushed these thoughts aside. The child trusted her, and she couldn't betray that trust. As they ventured deeper, the woods darkened, the tall trees forming a tunnel that swallowed the fading daylight. Emily noticed her phone had no signal, a detail that tightened her chest with anxiety. She wasn't used to being powerless. Her world depended on control, on certainty, on instant decisions. But here she had none. She forced her fear down and focused on the small hand clutching her glove. The girl whispered that her daddy had been coughing badly, that he hadn't been feeling well for days, and that he had promised to return quickly. The weight of the situation settled heavily on Emily. This man might truly be fighting for his life somewhere in the snow. After almost 20 minutes of trekking through the freezing woods, they reached a clearing where a faint groan drifted through the icy air. Emily's heart jolted. The child ran ahead, and Emily followed quickly, her breath clouding in sharp bursts. There, half buried under a fallen tree branch, lay a man shivering uncontrollably, his face pale, his hands scraped and trembling. He had collapsed under the weight of the branch while trying to lift it for firewood. Emily dropped to her knees beside him, brushing snow away from his face. His breathing was shallow and labored. Without thinking, she removed her coat and covered him, ignoring the harsh cold that instantly bit through her clothing. For the first time in years, she felt a wave of helplessness, but it was paired with determination. This family needed her. She would not let them down. She lifted the child into her arms and instructed her to stay close as she returned to the father's side. She inspected the branch, realizing she couldn't lift it alone, but she refused to give up. Drawing on every ounce of strength she had, she pushed, heaved, and braced her feet into the snow, her muscles burning as she forced the branch upward just enough for the man to pull his leg free. When he collapsed forward into her, she steadied him with a strength she didn't know she possessed. This wasn't a meeting room negotiation. This wasn't a corporate strategy. This was survival, and she was fighting for people she had known for less than an hour. The journey back felt both endless and urgent. The father leaned heavily against her, each step a battle against the cold and gravity. Emily's hands were numb, her breath shaky, but she kept whispering to herself to continue, to not fail this man or the little girl whose tiny hand was wrapped around her sleeve. When the car finally came into view, its headlights glowing warmly like a beacon, Emily nearly cried from relief. She helped the man inside, turned the heater to full, and wrapped him with every spare piece of fabric she could find. The child curled beside him, resting her head on his chest, whispering softly as if her voice alone could keep him alive. Emily drove them to the nearest clinic as fast as the icy roads allowed. The man was immediately taken in, treated for hypothermia and a fractured leg. The doctor later told Emily that if she had arrived even 20 minutes later, the results could have been tragic. When Emily heard this, she stepped outside into the quiet hallway, tears unexpectedly filling her eyes. She had saved them. In a world where she often felt misunderstood, criticized for her ambition, labeled as cold or distant, she had proved to herself something deeply human. She had the capacity to care, to act, to make a difference far beyond business deals and corporate accolades. The father eventually woke, thanking her with a weak but heartfelt expression. The little girl clung to Emily's coat, refusing to let go. For a moment, in that small clinic room with its dim lighting and lingering scent of antiseptic, Emily felt something warm bloom inside her, a sense of belonging she hadn't felt in years. She realized she had been running her whole life, searching for meaning in accomplishments, when meaning had just found her in the form of a lost child in the snow. As she prepared to leave, the little girl hugged her tightly, whispering that she was her hero. Those words stayed with Emily long after she walked out into the snow-covered night, feeling for the first time that her life had changed in a way no boardroom ever could. If this story touched your heart even a little, please take a moment to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Your support helps keep these emotional, real-life-inspired stories alive on Kindness Thread. Before the story ends, please comment, kindness still exists. Emily drove away slowly, watching the warm lights of the clinic fade behind her, carrying with her a powerful reminder that sometimes, the people we save end up saving us right back.
Y el toro. ¿Quiénes quedaron afuera? ¿Quiénes quedaron afuera de esto? Yo te- ¿Quiénes quedaron afuera del evento? Pablo Ibarra, de Papu Gómez, que vamos a hablar, Ángel Correa, Foyt, Armani, Di María. Bueno, pero acá mirá, Ibarra no puede por lesión. Papu Gómez, interna. Ángel Correa, decisión técnica. Con Foyt técnica, Armani retirado, Di María retirado. Pesela estaba roto, Diego Rodríguez nunca me gustó. Y el huevo es la que más me